Now to some industry news. The National Automotive Design and Development Council has commended the Edo State government's model for economic diversification and encouragement of automotive investment into the state. The Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Mr. Jailani Aliyu, gave the commendation at the meeting with the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki. Discussions focused on the way forward for investment in vehicle manufacturing, assembly and sale in the state.
The Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, leads some local and international vehicle manufacturers, dealers and officials of the National Automotive Design and Development Council on a visit to some car sale outlets in Benin City, the Edo State capital.
Try and get everybody in close proximity.
Part of the reasons for the visit to the car shops is to determine the potential for investment in vehicle manufacturing and assembly in the state.
It's 5 kilometers from here. It's doing its first 20 megawatts.
The visitors also make a brief stopover at the Benin Industrial Park, located at Iyanomo, Benin City.
Yeah, in the next 18 months, we should move all of them here.
After the tour comes this meeting at the banquet hall of the government house in the state capital.
We estimate that we have an inventory of almost 500,000 stocks of cars in Benin City alone. So what we are hoping to do is to work within the framework of the federal government auto policy, in fact, to go ahead of that policy.
The investors expressed interest in doing business in Edo State, just as the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council declares the federal government's readiness to support investments in the automobile sector to thrive.
Today, we have with us friends of Nigeria who are genuinely interested in coming into Nigeria and investing in the auto sector. As we are all aware, the automotive sector is key to the development of the economy of any nation or society. So we are extremely happy, and the federal government is committed to giving them all the necessary support and incentives to help them grow and protect their investments.
Nigeria is good for at least 2 million cars, new cars per year. That would multiply the jobs on this continent. So where does it start? And will Edo State be maybe the nucleus for this? With it comes employment up and downstream for the dealerships, the sales and service in the downstream, but you also have upstream the component manufacturers that are usually close to the manufacturing.
With this move and the expected results, the Governor Obaseki administration is reiterating that indeed Edo is ready for business.
Financial literacy amongst entrepreneurs is key to growth of the micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. This is the observation of the Executive Director of non-governmental organization Faith Foundation, Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi, at the 4th Policy Dialogue Series on Entrepreneurship. The foundation had conducted a survey across the country, and Mrs. Adeyemi wants the findings and recommendations used in developing a curriculum for financial literacy for entrepreneurs.
Nigeria is blessed with a strong entrepreneurial culture, one of the largest in Africa. According to the National Bureau of Statistics in 2013, there are 37 million micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. However, financial literacy has inhibited the sector from making progressive growth. For instance, a study by KPMG in 2014 suggests that the rejection rate of MSME loans by commercial banks range between 50 and 90%, majorly because of the limited knowledge of financial literacy among entrepreneurs. At this forum put together by the Faith Foundation, the issue raised some concern.
Government efforts at unlocking access to finance for micro, small and medium enterprises through strategic institutions such as the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Bank of Industry, and other development finance institutions have not achieved the desired impact, as MSMEs have, according to development experts, as we just heard from Faith Foundation, have consistently failed to provide financial information that is required to evaluate the investment request.
There's still a significant lack of financial literacy. At least if we're looking at the 6,500 MSMEs that we interviewed, it's representative of what we're seeing. And that there's that importance to really ingrain and expand the provision of financial literacy knowledge in a practical way, in an easy to understand way.
So how can entrepreneurs improve their financial literacy level?
The focus has been to actually develop curriculum to support enterprises. I mean, it's one thing to have a bright business idea and then learn the technicalities of the trade, but you also need to be mindful that there's a business side and a money side to that business.
In the last 3 years, we are going into over 15 secondary schools in the FCT. As I speak to you now, we have reached out over 200,000 students, teaching them on entrepreneurship skills to catch them young. The idea is, when a child finishes from secondary school, what else? If you cannot take admission to university or continue.
The recommendations from these conversations are expected to be gathered to develop a financial literacy curriculum for MSMEs in Nigeria. Hopefully, this will positively impact sustainability and growth of Nigerian enterprises.
The activities of criminals, bandits and terrorists across the country will soon be a thing of the past. This is the submission of the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who was in Monguno Town, Borno State earlier today, where the Nigerian Army's hardware and trade fair took place. The hardware and trade fair is part of the week-long activities marking this year's Army Day celebration in commemoration of the Nigerian Army's 155th anniversary.
You can only develop a country that you have first secured successfully. But it also points to the incredible opportunities and tasks of internal security that the Army has been involved in almost without a break for the last 2 years. In Kaduna, in Benue, in Taraba, in Zamfara, and lately in Plateau. But nowhere is the connection between security and economic development more palpably evident than here in Borno State, the hardest hit of Nigeria's 36 states by the Boko Haram insurgency. In the last 3 years, we have seen the gradual return to life to many parts of Borno State. And we've recently heard, even here, of so many that have returned home. Schools have reopened, airlines have resumed flights, religious celebrations are back on the streets. After being driven indoors at the height of insurgency, we shall continually strive to work to build a Nigeria in which terrorists, bandits, and criminals of all sorts shall have neither way nor sway in this land.
Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Once again, we shift our gears, this time to business news with Kayode Okikiolu.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Kimber, and welcome to Business News, where efforts to resolve the stalemate over revenue sharing has moved to the presidential villa, as President Muhammadu Buhari is to meet with the Minister of Finance as well as the leadership of the NNPC. Last week, the Federation Accounts and Allocation Committee meeting ended in a deadlock, but today, governors of Zamfara, Jigawa and Kebbi states, as well as the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, met with the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, in Abuja. The said engagements are ongoing, but stressed the need for proper reconciliation.
There's holiday because the President and the Minister of Finance will meet with the I think NNPC official where the problem is, quantum the problems comes from, so that we resolve it and then we move with normal operation of the Federation Account Committee.
Today's meeting really was for me to brief the governors and brief the Chief of Staff and, of course, by extension, the President on the progress we've made so far on our position. The President has promised that he's going to take the next step. And so, to that extent, we're very satisfied.
Let's now head over to Enugu, where the state's Board of Internal Revenue has sealed off 8 major commercial institutions in the state. And the reason is for non-remittance of tax totaling over 30 billion naira. According to the board chairman, Emeka Odo, the affected organizations, which include a bank, hotels, communication firms, and federal institutions, among others, will remain sealed until the funds are recovered.
The Enugu State Internal Revenue Service began a major enforcement exercise to recover about 30 billion naira that is owed the state government by various tax-paying institutions and agencies. The exercise involved the sealing of about 8 major tax-paying agents spread across the state capital in Enugu and the university town of Nsukka. The sealed companies include 3 hotels, 2 federal institutions, 1 bank, 1 filling station, and 1 telecoms company. All the sealed companies and agencies will remain under lock and key until they pay the money that they are owing.
Well, investors' demand for high-value stocks reversed the 3-day string of losses on the Nigerian Stock Exchange as trading maintains a high volume turnover for a second session. Teniola Shaboali tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. After 3 straight negative sessions this week, the local equities market rebounded by 65 basis points as bargain hunting took center stage in Thursday's session. Short-term investors took advantage of the recent drop in the price of some blue-chip stocks, which lifted the industrial goods, banking and the consumer goods sector. Gains by 23 advances, led by a mining and exploration firm, Multiverse, added 88 billion naira to the equities capitalization, while NEM Insurance led a pack of 19 losers, down by 8.82%. Meanwhile, UBA sold the highest unit of shares from a total volume of over 500 million units of shares, similar to Wednesday's session. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Teniola Shaboali.
Thank you, Tenny. Well, U.S. markets resumed from the Independence holiday, ending Thursday's session higher as investors brace up for President Trump's tariffs on goods imported from China. In the meantime, it's mixed performance across board for other leading world markets. That's a wrap on business news. I am Kayode Okikiolu. It's now back to Kimba.
You first. First Bank.
The government of Osun State has signed a memorandum of understanding with a private firm to generate 30 megawatts of electricity in Ilesha local government area. Governor Ralph Aregbesola explained to journalists during the signing ceremony in Osogbo, the state capital, that there is no financial commitment on the part of the state government besides providing land for the project.
The private solar power company are gathered at the government house in Osogbo, the state capital, to sign an agreement on clean energy. It's an MOU many hope will help tackle the problem of electricity generation and distribution.
The obligations of the state is to, within the ambit of the law and as may be relevant, provide regulatory support in terms of obtaining of licenses and all other interface with relevant regulatory authority to ensure the fruition of the program.
We're very much focused on not only developing the solar farm, but providing the ancillary training services that go along with it. So that means that the people will actually get to know the technology involved, be able to innovate, and be able to produce themselves. That's the main ancillary part of it. Not just providing the solar plant and leaving, but making sure that the people know the technology themselves.
For members of the benefiting community, the news couldn't have come at a better time.
With this signing, I think within the next number of months, electricity will be adequately supplied to my community.
Electricity experts still believe that solar energy remains the nation's best shot at tackling the power supply challenge in the country. The truth behind this argument is likely to be tested in about 24 months, when the project is expected to be completed.
Still ahead on the news at 10, World Cup 2018 returns after 2 days recess with quarterfinals matchups involving Brazil, Belgium, France and Uruguay. That's the sports news. Stay with us.